right, good morning. This is kind of an emergency broadcast from, it looks like, I'm broadcasting from the Pineapple Pentagon and screen sharing Mount Sinabung. Volcano has exploded, throwing a pyroclastic expulsion 55,000 feet up into the stratosphere. So there will be impacts besides just Starbucks running out of Sumatra coffee at some point. Aviation and in Indonesia area, and I'm not an climatologist or expert to tell you if this will contribute to global cooling or have any effects with regard to the grand solar minimum coming up and the cold weather that the northern hemisphere is being subjected to. But I'm going to roll this video there's a bunch. If you just go on YouTube and search, this is a ginormous explosion. All right, so check it out. I don't know how much interactive activity I'm able to respond to people's comments and stuff, but I'm going to roll this video right now. Stand by. It's just ginormous. So I imagine that the island of Sumatra is under a big black dark cloud as this volcanic expulsion of materials falls back to Earth. And as far as it affecting aviation, who knows? I mean, certainly locally, once it gets into the stratosphere, I guess it just depends on the volume of material. But damn, that's a big explosion. I wanted to put this on a video just so people could be aware of it that are my viewers, and there's a later video live stream scheduled to talk about other topics, but this was important enough to just the people need to know about it, and I'm screen sharing it for the general welfare so people know what's going on. That's not a small little volcano exploding. That's like a major expulsion. So if you think the grand solar minimum isn't real, or the sun can't affect the earthquakes across the world, no? Mount Sinabung says, boom. Up into the stratosphere. So it's hard for me to go look at the comments right now because I am keeping this on full screen. Give me a minute and I'll check back on them. Looks like some school kids. If you're on this island, now would be a good time to buy a gas mask if you haven't got one, and get off of it somehow. Like get a boat and start paddling. And as you can see, there's lots of Mount Sinabung volcano eruptions. I'm gonna have a look at that. Get back to live screen. See if I can find another one. Right, they gotta have an ad on the front. There it is. It looks like a nuke almost, but it's a volcano. So this is the Hawaii Volcano Squad. I mean, that's just ginormous pyroclastic expulsion. Sorry. Get my consonants and vowels and enunciations correct. Volcano says boom. Bam. So yeah, it's big enough to It looks big enough to me to cause a major, I don't know if this will be a major climate event all by itself. And at the end, all the particles it's going to throw up into the stratosphere. But that's a big one. Large volcano says boom. I mean, look at how high it's going straight up. So I'm sharing these videos off of YouTube just so people will know what's going on and spread the word. So it's if you haven't started, if you're not a prepper now, you're about to become one, I would say. How does that commercial go? If you're not a prepper now, you will be. I mean, I don't know if this will affect crop outputs or, I don't know, for every 3 degrees, the weather goes down, the temperature goes down, and on the planet, it reduces the crop output of the United States by a certain amount. I'm not an expert on that. Let's see if I can make it back and get into the external comments. Oops, sorry. A little bit of a conversation there. Hi, Jesse. As far as my personal thing, I'm not on Sumatra. I'm on the Big Island of Hawaii. Yeah, that. Yeah, that's a pretty big volcano explosion, and I mean, it looks like it looks like a nuclear. It's bigger than any nuclear weapon I've ever seen, but I haven't really seen any, except on just a few videos of tests on History Channel. That's just gigantic. Well, let me see if I can find some more video or just replay it. Get back there. So hi, Jared. Hi, Jess James. Hi, Stan. Let me get back to that video and see what we can see. Here's a new one. You can get past the ads on the front end of it. There we go. Let me go back a little, that shot there. Yeah, that's the tower, radio tower sometime. That's just a ginormous explosion. So since my channel is called the Hawaii Volcano Squad, I thought this was worthy of its own video, just so people would know that grand solar minimum, cosmic rays. Don't ask me to explain how it all works, but volcanoes say boom. I mean, just look at that picture. That's just stunning. It looks like a nuke. So you're talking into the stratosphere with a lot of this material. So it's unlike a nuke. It's not radioactive, but there's enough material. It can cause global. I mean, if it goes from the southern hemisphere into the northern hemisphere, then you can definitely have a global cooling effect that would, I think it's for every 3 degrees, the temperature goes down. In the United States, the crop yield drops like 20%. I'm not sure about those figures. Maybe Dusty would know more than me, or somebody could Google them. But that's just a monster explosion. So yeah, if I was on this island, I'd be like trying to get off. I'd like just steal a boat and get the hell off out of there. But because it's a lot of it's going to come down on Sumatra. So yeah, it's funny. I am still that deal for that house up on the volcano on Kilauea on the Big Island. It's not totally dead, but basically the sellers want to still want an as-is clause in the deal, which is never going to happen. Nobody's, especially me, is going to sign anything that on that house on a volcano that says as is. They want an as-is clause, and that's not going to happen. So we'll see if they change their minds. Damn, that's a big expulsion. The house, I mean, the house that I'm buying is just right next to Kilauea caldera, which has been an active volcano it's been active since 1983, I believe, or 1985, is it? But it's like a low grade, slow leak compared to this. This is an explosion on Sumatra in Indonesia. But Hawaii, just out of the living room window of that house that I made an offer on Kilauea caldera is you can see Mauna Loa, which rises up out of the sea, which is the largest active volcano just by size, measuring it from the bottom of the sea up to the top of the mountain, and you can see it. But basically, there haven't been any explosions. I mean, there's been eruptions that kind of headed towards Hilo and one towards Ocean View, and it could head towards Kona if there's another. But it's more like this volcano Mauna Loa that is on the island that I live on. It's basically they just have lava flows that threaten towns. Mostly, they don't have any explosion like this. Think about Indonesia. It's on the Ring of Fire, and right below Indonesia, there's like part of the Earth's mantle goes. I forget if it's called a subversion, but it just goes underneath. One major continental plate goes underneath another. So when there's any instability, geological instability, I mean, the Ring of Fire. And whether that's tied to a solar minimum, I can't explain how, with cosmic rays, and not to mention the magnetic flip. That's the magnetic pole flip that's happening, flipping, with the magnetic north is headed south and magnetic south is headed north, and not on the opposite sides of the planet. They're headed towards collision around the Ring of Fire. They're headed towards each other. But so your magnetic compasses may be almost, if eventually, just wrong, completely wrong. I mean, they'll point to magnetic north, but magnetic north won't be geographic north. So I don't know if this is big enough to affect food crop yields in America, or if it will affect the northern hemisphere at all. But it sure looks big. Man. So the island that I live on has never, to my knowledge, at least in recent recorded history, had an explosion like this. When you're looking at the caldera, the one of Kilauea caldera, there had to be an explosion at some time, because that's how calderas are formed. It'll be interesting to see what this one looks like after all the expulsion settles down, but that will be a while from now. Nobody's flying anything for us into that. I'm afraid all that's going to have to fall back to Earth and settle, and there's going to have to be a little bit of clear air for any aviation to occur. So I don't think you could fly off that island right now. I really don't. You'd have to get a boat and just start paddling, or get a canoe, make a canoe and get the heck off of there. So yeah, we're going to have a chat later tonight on how to make schools safe. But in the meantime, you may want to gather what supplies you can, just in case this does affect the Northern Hemisphere. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere or in Indonesia, you want to get on good relations with the Almighty. Not too late. And that's way the heck up in the stratosphere. Indonesia. I don't know if that's Hindu, Tagalog, or what. I'm not. I dubbed European languages, so I'm at a loss on this particular language. And here's where they stupidly put the camera sideways because. Thank you. Put it the right way. Stupid cameraman. You're holding your cell phone the wrong way. Yeah, there it is. It's just straight up. All right, I'm going to just check the comments real quick, and then we'll probably end this one. Not to mention that the leaf blower guy is outside in the yard. Let's flip back for a little bit. If I can make it. Yeah, I don't think aliens have. Hi, Oklahoma Prepper. See, you found my channel finally. I don't think this has anything to do with aliens. I mean, grand solar minimum, that's not like science fiction. That's a real thing. You can say, no, that's baloney, but the volcano says no, that's real. Come on. The wrong thing up. Yeah, so if you're on a volcano and you see something like this, you pretty much want to get off the flipping island, and you aren't going to be able to go to an airport and get off because I'm sure all the planes have been grounded. All they'll do is suck up a bunch of ash into the jet engines and crash. So, yeah, it's not safe for general aviation. The only way to get off of this island would be by a boat after something like that. So, yep, if you're not a prepper now, you will be. Or you'll just be one of the homeless sheeple looking for a FEMA camp. Which I don't think they have in Indonesia. It's just a ginormous explosion. So, hey, thanks everyone for tuning in to this just general information on this huge volcanic explosion on the island of Sumatra in Indonesia, Mount Sinabung. It says boom. Just a huge volcano explosion. It looks like a nuke, but obviously there's no radioactivity, just a lot of pyroclastic expulsion up into the stratosphere. So I don't know what impact this will have on worldwide climate, but I imagine we'll be hearing about it soon. All right. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and try and stick around later for the show on how to make our schools safe.